Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel with my coffee, with my books and my reviews, and I don't know, I just walked outside, didn't really see any potential rain. I could be wrong, but I guess we never know here in Alabama. It changes, like, not as bad as Florida, but pretty quick. But let us dive into the book of the moment. And I don't want to say the book of the day because there are days like today where I record several books in order to kind of prepare for the week ish to come. July has been a fairly full month, and I do foresee that I will potentially have enough to fill up the month, maybe minus one day, and that's fine because I think I have one book that's actually kind of long, which I could dedicate an extra day to really reading it, like, dedicating that time to it. But let's dive into the last ritual by Dragos Gaszpar. And this book was very interesting. It does seem to be by maybe an indie author, so kudos to him for getting out there. I am not certain if this is a self-publish or not, but I would potentially think it could be. It does look like this is his debut book. It looks like he's got this one book. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and click that follow button so that way I will just be able to do that and follow this author. So if you would like to follow him as well, I just encourage it because I think indie authors always need the support that the reading community can give them, should it sound like something up your alley. And the last ritual was very interesting. There were some moments that I was kind of like, not sure where we're going with this. Somebody in one of the other comments said it was a grimdark fantasy. So I Googled that. I was like, what is grimdark fantasy? And honestly, I agree with that. Do I still have it pulled up? I think it was like a subgenre of fantasy. Oh, yeah. Subgenre of speculative fiction known for its dark, cynical, and morally ambiguous settings and characters. So it often features intense violence, gritty realism, and pessimistic outlook. And I would agree with that. Like, I probably didn't realize that going into it and was kind of looking for the hero of the story for quite a bit of it, only to realize that these are very morally ambiguous characters. So you're not sure who's good, who's bad, if anybody's in the right at all. But let's dive into the summary and we'll go from there. We killed God. Carved rituals from its corpse, long lives, healing weapons, millennia of prosperity, enough to make you weep. But nothing comes without a cost. 3 curses carved in kind. And the Lathe, and I'm saying the Lathe, I guess it could be Leath, Leath. The Leath are winning. And now something worse threatens us both. Mindless, hideous, final. Oh, the goats. They want our help. Well, they can have it. It's time for another ritual. Yes, this one will be different. Me getting tongue-tied here. I apologize. I and 3 others will go. We will not return. We understand this. But if we succeed, then you who remain must carry on. Maybe find a cure for your affliction. Pass this note down. Let something of us survive. P.S. Sa, give the younglings my farewell. Nothing too sentimental. You understand. Yes, both of them. P.P.S. You're still wrong about the portraits. Excerpt from a Gray's final message found in the Iron Walls Inn. And so it does say it's a dark fantasy about sacrifice, ruin, and philosophy made manifest. For fans of Grimdark, tragic legacies, friendship, and choices with consequences. So I want to say that was this on might have been on my Kindle. One of the two. I tend to either use the NetGalley app or my Kindle for reading most of these books, so I kind of forget which one of those two I was reading it on. Felt like it went pretty quickly, but I will say personally, it felt like as I was reading some of the dialogue between the characters, because there's a lot of dialogue, and for my particular taste, a lot of dialogue, but not just so much of setting the scene of what's going on. A lot of the characters will cut each other off mid sentence. So that was something that I kind of made a note of in my head. I was like, why can't these people complete a sentence? Because I then was getting a little confused as where we were with regards to the what we were trying to do. And some of these characters are also like, they're just dark, and then they try to use this sense of dark humor or what have you, I guess, to break tension or to not talk about emotions or feelings. And then I would lose the plot a little bit there as well, because like, or then they would just fight each other. They would just be like, well, they don't really, and then some of the characters can heal themselves. It is definitely fantasy. It is that dark fantasy, and we can call it grimdark fantasy, which I'm learning the title of learning the name of today. It is being published, or was published, June 16th of 2025. I did receive this book. I don't think I even requested it till the beginning of July, which is why it is being my review is being released closer to the middle-ish, end-ish of July, just simply because I had a couple other books ahead and I had already, like, I guess technically missed the deadline, or it was still on NetGalley to read and review. So I still wanted to do that. Now, I will say that these characters are, like I said, they're dark. And it's this one particular person said the tone, think Black Company meets Dark Souls, but narrated by someone who hasn't slept in days and smells faintly of goat blood. That makes sense. I have the Black Company, I think, on my shelf in the living room, because I have several bookshelves kind of around my apartment, and very interesting. But anyway, back to this one. We have this group of what seems to be soldiers, mercenaries, what have you, and they're, for a time, trying to fight off these Leith. Well, it seems as though these Leith are winning because their numbers are just not diminishing, whereas the other population, the human population, seems to be being decimated pretty substantially. So this one particular Leith, who seems to be one of the leaders, tries to come to this group of mercenaries or soldiers in what seems to be good faith. He makes a bargain with them. He says, if you will help us with this other issue, these ravagers that are attacking us on this side, then we will stop attacking you. And so it kind of starts a whole like a thought process of like, well, who are the ones in the right? Like, are the, and I'm assuming I say humans, but again, it's that grimdark where I'm not even 100% certain how human some of these humans really are. Some of them seem to bleed and die just the same way as most mortals might. These Leith are very much animalistic, it seems, in nature, but they can't speak human, but it seems as though they can communicate with each other. And so this one particular one, and I want to say his name was like Scar or Ska, he comes to them. They meet at this location. They have like an emissary that kind of helps facilitate this meeting, and it's all very dark and gritty. So let's just say some things work out, some things don't. But I was really quite surprised by the way things were going down towards the end of it. There is, like, I never imagined the sun rising in this world. That is just how atmospheric this book felt. It felt like if these characters ever slept, which I don't even remember if they did, they probably, it was dark when they went to bed, it was dark when they woke up. It just seems as though there's just not much light to this world, which again helps with that atmosphericness. Is it meant to be apocalyptic in some way? I can't really tell. But it does seem as though the gods, some gods, have once been in the realm, and now there are certain individuals within this kind of group, this mercenary group, and there's like four of them, I think, who have done this several times in the past, and they don't share that with some of their other counterparts who were kind of making this journey until like a little later on. And that's when we start realizing that they're doing this ritual more for their own good, more for their own like power. I don't know. This other person says it's also surprisingly beautiful, and I'm just like, I'm not sure if I saw the beauty in it. It just felt gritty and warlike, and like we were fighting monsters in the dark, or that there were monsters in the shadows at every turn. Now, they did also, Nana's book reviews also said it reminded them a little bit of Tamsin Muir, and I can agree with that because that's also kind of, I felt like in this particular world, that this lack of light, I felt the same sort of vibe, that atmospheric vibe, when it came to Tamsin Muir's world as well, especially in the first one of Gideon the Ninth, where they're in like this, what I would call haunted house, and people are slowly like dropping one by one. There is, let me see, but just if you pick this up, which I mean, I do recommend if you like that dark gritty. It is not urban fantasy, because urban fantasy makes you think like it's in the alleyways of Chicago or something, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I love it. This is definitely that dark, gritty fantasy where you are not sure who is supposed to be the good guy, who is supposed to be a bad guy, if good guys even exist in this world. It just seems to be the struggle for power and leverage over some of the others. And honestly, I can't even say I'm mad about it, because I feel like I haven't gotten to read that kind of book in a while. So, like, in a way, because I am going to go ahead and give it 4 stars. I think that's going to be my overall rating for it. I didn't fully feel satisfied, but that could be because I may have missed some points throughout the book. Again, I felt as though there was a lot of dialogue, but I didn't feel like I knew the groundwork of kind of what was happening at times to really be able to put the full picture clearly in my head. I felt like half this book was taking place either in front of a campfire or on horseback, like riding in the rain or something. So I don't feel as though I knew what was happening enough in the periphery to really paint that picture well for me. So that would be the one thing that I would really love to see. Now, this one individual, let's see who this was, Ryu, I think it's Ryu. They said there's clearly a rich imagination behind this work, and I completely agree with that. The overall direction of the plot for them held their interest, and I was highly intrigued by the direction of the plot and what was happening. I feel as though I could have used just a little bit more description of what was going on, because it felt like we were on a battle scene, or we're on the walls of this maybe this keep, or we're like out in like no man's land on horses. So that's just my particular thought. Now, again, this could have been my reading and my interpretation of it. Maybe as I was reading it, accidentally glossed over those parts. I don't know. I felt like I went back and read a couple pages just to make sure I was getting it right. But I would read more by this author. I feel like if this is his debut novel, then it's a great starting point. I would love to see how they develop and see if we have more of this dark fantasy coming from Dragos. Like, honestly, I probably picked it up because this guy's name was Dragos. And I was like, heck yeah, that is a cool name. Love it. Now, this other individual, just real quick, also says that, let's see, Robin Ginther Vinery. Says perfect reader, perfect for readers who love Grimdark. That's more grit than glitz, ancient horrors, and eldritch lore. 100% agree on that, because it feels like we have gods popping up and their corpses laying around, which is wild. And you're not getting a happy ending. Just by the way, this is not where you're getting it. I don't think you would get that from a Grimdark. I'm starting to just think about other books that I've read and wonder if they would fall into the Grimdark category. But it does say tragic beauty served with a dagger to the gut. And honestly, I love that. I like, did I personally find much beauty? Nah, probably not. But is it grizzled and just rough around the edges in some really great ways? Yeah. Yeah, it is. And so there again, super glad I picked it up. I'm glad that even though I may have missed the publication date, I did not miss the opportunity to pick this up on NetGalley and give it a read and give you guys my opinion. So with all of that being said, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. If you have not liked and subscribed already, I hope you will. And I want to thank you for joining me on this journey, though it was not hopefully too dark and gritty. And we'll see you on the next page. Have a great one. Bye.